Yeah, so one thing that you mentioned earlier, Esther, you talked when you were talking about breakthrough and this negative process, which maybe I want to come back to that later as well. Um, Talking more about that negative process. But anyway, when you were talking about that, you were talking about, the conditioning of the child and coming back and coming back and coming from more of this childlike perspective and approach to life. And Caroline, you said something kind of similar when you were talking about like coming to a session with less and less kinds of assumptions and preconceived notions about what's going to happen. I mean, that ties into, of course, one of the basic body talk principles, which is no agenda, right? Not going into a session with any preconceived idea or assumptions about what needs to happen and what the outcome of something is going to be, or what the results are going to be, or anything like that. You're just facilitating a session. A friend of mine told me about a podcast that he listened to recently, and in the podcast was about this new discovery in medicine of this new organ that they'd never knew about before. And it was really interesting. They were talking about the podcast, they were talking about the technology and and how they went about the process, and they discovered this new thing and they didn't know what it was, and kind of went through all this back and forth, and all these experts from different parts of the world and getting all these ideas about what this thing was. And at the end of the podcast, when kind of wrapping things up, and they had finished talking about just the enormous implications of this new organ that they discovered in the human body. Well, it's in all life and sentient beings. I don't know if trees, but animals. Um, the guy, the interviewer said, "Now that we're at kind of the end here, I'm wondering if this really was less of a podcast about new technology and discovery of something new in medicine or in biology, and if really it's really just been more of a podcast about belief systems." And the scientist who was the person who really kind of discovered this, he gave an awesome quote. And he said, this is actually by uh, Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, who was he founded the first Buddhist Zen monastery outside of Asia. And he founded or I think he founded the Zen Center in San Francisco. He also wrote a book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. But the scientist, he said, when she said that, he said, yeah, and it's it's about belief systems. It's about, he didn't use these words, but the words that you use, Esther, like the hand-me-down mind. It's about, you know, belief systems, it's about dogma, it's about conditioning, it's about the things that I learned from my teachers, and all these things that people have told me are true, and this is what this part of the body is, and it turns out that it's not.
Mhm.
And so what he said was, what did he say? He said, yeah, it's really a story about beliefs and training and education and dogma and indoctrination getting in the way. And so this quote, he said, from Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, said, "In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the experts, there are few." And when he said that, I'm actually feeling it too. When he said that, he said he started to get choked up. And I'm kind of feeling the same too. It's like how much are we missing out on? Like it's staring us right in the face. But all of this lifetime of conditioning, everything that everyone has told me about this is what it is, and this is what it looks like, and this is what this thing does, and this is how it should be.
Mm.
How much that just covers up everything and prevents me from seeing what's right in front of my face. And even closer than my face. Even closer than my face. I just thought that was so yeah, because I listened to that podcast yesterday, I thought, oh, this is gonna be perfect for our for our talk tomorrow. I want to share this. Because yeah, really, I mean, I could totally relate to what what he said. And when she said, like, why does that choke you up? He said, because it was there the whole time. It's there the whole time. But everything that I learned told me to dismiss it. It wasn't anything, really.